Okay guys, so what your goal is to be able by now to start getting this process down of how to solve a system of three variables. So remember the first thing, and we've been doing this in our notes, is let's identify them as equation 1, 2, and 3. And we can write that right there. And then you want to pair up and eliminate. You want to find opposites. So we're going to pair up, I like 1 and 2 first, because you could see, look at the positive 4z and the negative 4z. They're opposites already, so they'll be easy to just add up and eliminate. So I'm going to pair 1, so x minus 6y plus 4z equals negative 12, and 2, x plus y minus 4z equals 12. So now, in order to eliminate the z, you always do addition. So I'm going to add them up. So 1x plus 1x is 2x. Negative 6 plus 1y is negative 5y. The z's would cancel each other out. And then equals negative 12 plus 12 is 0. That's okay. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. So now that we've paired up equation 1 and 2, right? You have the option. You either choose 1 and 3 or 2 and 3. Okay, so you can pick. So why don't we go ahead and we'll pick 1 and 3. So I'm going to do that underneath here. So 1, once again, x minus 6y plus 4z equals negative 12. And 3 is 2x plus 2y plus 5z equals negative 15. Now, the first time around, we eliminated the z. For this to work, you have to eliminate the z here. But if you notice, they're not opposite numbers already, okay? Like positive 4 and they're not opposite. We need one of them to be negative, and we need them to be the same number. So the lowest number that I can think of is 20, that we can change them into. And we can do that nice and easy if we multiply the top here, everything in the top equation, times 5, right? And then if we multiply the bottom, everything there by negative 4. So see, we're basically multiplying them by each other's numbers. Just make sure one of them has to be negative. So then, using the calculator, I'm going to go in, I'm going to draw my little arrow to show I changed that equation. And I'm going to distribute. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30y. 5 times 4 is 20. Z. And then don't forget 5 times negative 12, and you will get a calculator, equals negative 60. So that's changing just the first equation right now. So you need to go in and change the second equation. So for the second equation, again, we're going to just do the distributive property. If you don't want to draw the lines, you don't have to. Sometimes I forget to multiply if I don't. So, okay, let's do it. Changing this one. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times that, okay, is negative 2y. Negative 20z. And then negative 15 times negative 4 is positive 60. So then, now you can see here that we have a positive 20 and a negative 20. So we can add them together and it will eliminate that. You want to eliminate the same letter your first two steps. So adding these up, make negative 3x, negative 32y, use your calculators, equals, and then add those up and you get 0. So those are your first two main steps, guys. Then you get down to two variables. We have this equation with the x and the y, and we have this equation with the x and the y. Your ultimate goal is to get down to here, so now we're going to pair those two equations up. We're going to move them over to the side. So let's do 2x minus 5y equals 0, and then bring the other one over. Negative 3x minus 32y equals 0. And then you have to eliminate one of these variables. Personally, 5 and 32, way too hard. But look, 2 and -3, they're already, this x is a positive number, this one's a negative, that's a good sign. And if I multiply this by 3, and then I multiply the bottom one by 2, I will already have a positive 6x at the top and a negative 6x at the bottom, which is what I want. Okay, that's what you want. So let's go in and let's multiply. So, okay, this one will become 6x minus 15y equals 0. And then the bottom one will be negative 6x. Okay, and then negative 32 times 2 is negative 64y equals 0. The entire purpose of that, like we've been doing, is now you have those opposite numbers. We'll cancel out the x's. So we're going to add negative 15 plus negative 64 and get negative 79y equals 0, because 0 plus 0. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So then y must equal 0. Now remember, this is one of 3 answers, guys. So when you write your final answer, it needs to be x, comma, y, comma, z as a coordinate that these planes hit. So we know the y is 0. So I'm going to fill that in. Now, though, how do we find the x and the z? Well, first thing you want to do is take this number 0 right here and plug it back into one of your smaller equations. So one of these green equations that I circled, I'm going to plug in 0 for y and do the math. So I'm going to pick the first. So draw my little arrow. 2 times x minus 5 times 0, because remember, we had y as 0. That's right there. We had that. Equals 0. So 2x equals 0. Well, this just happens to also be 0, which is okay. You can have that. So now we know x is 0. So if we take a look then here, plug in. Now we have a y, we have an x, we need the z. That's where you go back to your original 3 equations over here and pick any one of those, plug these 2 numbers in, substitute them in, and solve for the z. So my last step, I'm going to substitute, I'm just going to go into the first equation. So 0 for x minus 6 times 0 for the y plus 4z equals negative 12. Well, in this case, 0 minus 0, just cross that off. That's just going to be 0 anyway, right? Now we're left with 4 times z equals negative 12. So I'm going to divide by 4, and I got z equals negative 3. And then that is how your coordinate is going to look. That is how your coordinate. So in this case, what type of system is it? I'm going to circle consistent independent. Remember, that is the one solution. Consistent independent. So let's check the second one, and this is going to help you guys with your color by numbers again too. This is kind of another teaching of it. We went over 2 problems last class. We can keep going over these problems. Okay, so let's try number 2. Now, okay, I'm going to still label 1, 2, and 3. Now, here's the good thing about these guys. You don't always have to do the same pairing. You don't always have to pair 1 and 2 right away. You can pick. I'm actually going to pick 2 and 3 right here, because if you notice, these 2 numbers are already opposite, so I can eliminate the A really quickly. So let's do, I'm going to do my first step. Equation 2 with the equation 3. Now again, to eliminate that A, since they're already opposite numbers, that's your goal, we're going to add them together, just like we've been doing. That'll cancel out the A. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 plus 3 is, okay, so 6C. And negative 6 plus 9 equals 3. Okay, so that's 2 letters. That's what we wanted. Now, since we already paired 2 and 3, we can either pair 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to pair 1 and 3 because we have to eliminate the A's, right? And look, this A is already a 5, positive. This is a negative, so that kind of helps me out. So I'm going to pair 1 and 3. So 5, I'm just rewriting them out. Take that time to rewrite the steps. It really isn't going to kill you, and it does help. And then negative 4. Now, again, we have to eliminate the A because we already eliminated the A here. You got to eliminate the A. Well, that means we're going to have to multiply again. So I'm going to multiply the top one by 4 to make that a 20A. And I'll do that to everything. And I'm going to multiply the bottom one by 5. Okay? That way that'll make that the negative 20A. So if I rewrite my system underneath, meaning I'm going to go in and do the multiplication, the first one would be, okay, 4 times 20A plus 4 times 20B plus 20C equals negative 20 times 8, negative 80. Okay, the bottom one, negative 20A plus 15B plus 15C equals 45. And we're going to again add them together. The whole purpose of adding is, notice we eliminate the A again. That's going to be 35B plus 35C equals negative 80 plus 45 is negative 35. So you get this equation with B and C and this equation with B and C. And just like before, now you want to put these two together and try to get rid of the B or the C. So we're going to pair them up over here. Now, I have no idea what 6 and 35 have in common. So if you get stuck like that, like let's say we want to eliminate the B's, it's very simple, guys. Just take it, right, and multiply by each other. I'm going to multiply this by negative 35, but the bottom one I'm going to multiply by 6. And then it will just happen to work so that they're the same number. Now, you need a calculator because they might be bigger numbers, but that's okay. So let's see, if I were to do the top and multiply the entire top by negative 35, okay, so negative 35 times 6 is negative 210, B, and then another negative 210, B, and then equals 3 times negative 35, negative 105. Here, distributive property again, well, you can see that'll be a positive 210, B, and a positive 210, C, and 6 times negative 30, remind myself, up, and a negative 210. And now we're going to add them together. Always adding. So you can see, well, in this case, the B's will cancel each other out. Oh, sorry, this should be a C, right? Oh, the C's will cancel each other out. And you're left with big fat 0 here. Equals, let me add those together, negative 105 plus negative 210. It's going to be negative 315. Now, this is where you have no solution. This is a false statement. So at any point in the problem, it could have happened right away. If you get rid of both letters and it says 0 equals some number, it's not a true statement. This is no solution. Which, remember, we classify as an inconsistent system. Okay, we classify it as an inconsistent system, no solution. So, what we're going to do today, guys, is you're going to have a chance to finish your turkey activity. The color by numbers that we started last class, you'll be getting that back today. What I want you to do first is with your notebook, you're going to fold this, okay, halfway. And then you're going to find page 10. So in your composition notebook, after page 9, put page 10. And I want you to glue this down so that when you open it, you can see it. So this drill is not on the weekly drill. I want it to be right there. And then I want you to title page 10, okay, classwork, practice, drill. Because we can't call it a super drill because it wasn't on our weekly paper, but we did go through and take the time to practice 2 more. So you're going to use this paper now, guys. You can use each other and you can use a calculator. And your goal on notebook paper is to finish the colored by numbers. It's going to be collected by the end of class. Okay? You know you did it right because your answers are somewhere on here. All right? Your answers are somewhere on here, and then you're going to color, like we talked about, accordingly. Okay, so good luck. Use each other. Use your notes. You can do this. Use a calculator.